How can the words Trump, porn star and electoral bump be mentioned in one sentence without the words dignity, credibility and maybe even April Fool's Day?
What a question, Sarah.
I wonder who this question is coming to. Maybe the person with the American accent. You know, as we know, what's happening right now, or actually on Tuesday, U.S. time at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, is that the sealed indictment will be unsealed. And we will know what the charges are that Donald Trump, former President Trump, is facing in New York. And until we know that, we're left to surmise and speculate, which is something I try not to do. But the reality is what we know in general is that these charges that are in the sealed indictment will have something to do with the payment to Stormy Daniels, the porn star, the adult actress, film actress, who was paid actually by Michael Cohen, who is the former president's fixer.
And just to be clear here, this is not just about the payment of so-called hush money, but it's the electoral implications of this, isn't it?
We think exactly.
We will wait to see what's revealed. Exactly,
but that is the supposition that it links to how that money was paid back. So money went back to the fixer, and then that got recorded as a transaction, a legal transaction, which in fact it doesn't look like it was. So what is that? Is that a violation of election law? So we don't know yet if that is going to be the line of argument, but that's the basic area of play. It's important to put this in a little bit of context. This is one of 4 different investigations that are going on into the former president. One's in Georgia. There are a couple DOJ, Department of Justice. Those are federal investigations that are going into the former president. He is fighting them. He says he is not guilty of any of this. He says it's a witch hunt. Now, it's worth noting that they're, surprise, surprise, polarizing in the United States. 90% of Democrats say these investigations are the right thing. And depending on the poll you look at, 80 to 93% of Republicans say it's a witch hunt.
Can I go to Osman on this? Does this become Trump's election campaign?
I mean, this is the risk, isn't it? Because it's like, even if we don't know what these charges are, so we're sort of hypothesizing on a hypothetical.
It doesn't matter in a sense to Donald Trump, does it?
I mean, even if, you know, they end up being proven in court, does that matter to an enormous base of Trump supporters? Perhaps not.
The answer is not now.
Yeah, they're fundraising off them quite successfully already, and then you end up with a potentially bizarre and quite terrifying situation where a group of people who've slowly been radicalized over the last 4 to 5 years think that their guy is being locked up in an unfair, rigged system. And what do they do then? I don't think they just sit there quietly.
What does it mean, Osman, as someone who observes politics here and there, and I might go to you, Sarah, just on this quickly before we move on, but what does it mean for American politics? Because Donald Trump didn't come out of nowhere. People who felt abandoned, people who felt left behind, the people who'd seen their factories closed down, who sent their children off to fight the wars of Iraq and Afghanistan, who felt as if Washington wasn't listening to them or seeing them. What does this mean for American politics? And if not Trump, what about those disaffected 90 million voters?
It's a really good question. I mean, Sarah will have a lot to say about it as well, but I think the focus on Trump in some ways can be a distraction. I think we've seen Governor Ron DeSantis from Florida, who's kind of Trump on steroids in some ways, occupy so much of that ground. And I think there's a risk for people on the left, on the progressive side in the States, to think that, well, if we use this mechanism to get rid of Trump, it's all fine. But you're spot on. There are social and economic factors that...
And they're real.
To that. And they're real.
Sarah?
Well, that's exactly right. And the reality is that what Trump did was he pulled some people who used to be Democrats into what is now the Republican Party. I mean, we talked earlier about the fact that parties change, and that's exactly what happened. Some disaffected people absolutely joined in this, and he spoke to them for that reason. I think, though, that where we're going at this moment is very much a watch this space, because right now this is a big poll bump for him having this indictment, and he said he's welcomed it. But having watched American politics for a long time, I think what you saw at the beginning was people coming to his aid, right? We're all Republicans, and so we support you. But give it a little time and watch him start to move sideways and say, okay, well, he's really kind of distracted, and we've already said that we support him, so now maybe you want to support us. I fully expect to see that happen. But rest assured, right now, he has the MAGA base rested on. They still like Trump.